In One Piece, not many characters have their family names revealed. Especially among the giant, fishman, and mink tribe, it's rare. But among the giants, there are a few exceptions. John Giant, Sanfan Wolf, and Jaga the Soul. In Japanese, Haguar the Sauro. Completely different. All have full names. That means John Giant is the only known Elbaf-born character with a family name. So it wouldn't be strange at all if other Elbaf characters also had last names. Family names. And if we are talking royalty, it's even harder to imagine that they wouldn't have names passed down through generations. Harald and Loki. In this video, I want to explore the possibility that Loki inherited the D name and then dive deeper into what's really thinking, Loki's true intentions. Let's start by looking at where the D clan comes from across the world. They are pretty spread out. We've seen the barriers from the East Blue, South Blue, North Blue, West Blue, and even the first half of Grand Line. But there's one region where we've never seen anyone from the D. And that's the second half of the Grand Line. The New World. No D family has been confirmed to come from there, at least not yet. Take Blackbeard for example. We know he's from Shadeport in the Grand Line, but Odin's flashback doesn't make it clear whether that island is the first or second half of Grand Line. And as for Rocks, we still know nothing about where was he born. But Loki, his family line has clearly ruled over Elbaf for generations, so if there were a D from the New World and it's come from Loki's bloodline, it would honestly make a lot of sense. And I actually think there are deeper secrets hidden in Loki's lineage, something that hasn't been revealed yet. In chapter 1143, it was finally confirmed that the black forward-pointing horn is actually growing out of his head directly, like this. And, interestingly, Harold had the same kind of horn. When you compare it to the horns of other ancient giants, or characters who seems to have ancient giant blood, it's clear that the shape and the direction it grows in are totally different. Unlike Hyrudim, Loki seems to have inherited Harold's blood more strongly since Harold was a descendant of the ancient giants. That's probably why Loki was born as huge as Oars. This type of horn has shown up on other characters in One Piece too, specifically the demon-like figure in the Elbaf mural who's facing off against Nika, and a figure who looks a lot like Loki. So the fact that the royal family ruled over Elbaf has horns that looks just like those devil horns could mean that Elbaf was originally a land where devils lived. And if the letter D really does come from the devil, then it's possible Elbaf royal bloodline could also be inherited or descendant of the D. After all, Soul, the normal giant, has the name of D, and Loki, who carries the blood of the ancient giants, could very well have ancestors who also have the middle name D. Other really interesting detail is the fact that there was an abyss inside Oar's castle. That's worth paying attention to, because normally abyss seems to disappear right after being summoned. When Saturn summoned the 5 elders to Egghead, the abyss vanished afterward. Same with Gunko. When she summoned Killingham and Somers in Elbaf, the abyss was gone right after. But this time, the abyss that Gunko and Shamrock came out of remained. It stayed on the floor of Oar's castle. That suggests the royal family of Loki bloodline may have inherited some kind of demonic power tied to the abyss. In some mythologies, the abyss is described as a place where demons or lost souls are sealed away. So if Elbaf has ties to that kind of darkness, something they've kept hidden until now, it makes sense that when one of the rows saw it, they were creeped out. Still, this dark, almost black magic-like power is now entirely under the control of the world government. because Imu has basically taken ownership of it. Even back in the Namakura Island where Brook was sent 2 years ago, there was something similar to an abyss used in a failed demon summoning ritual. But it clearly wasn't functional. That's probably because the real usable power of abyss has been monopolized by Imu, or world government, leaving behind only the empty tradition and rituals, while the actual power has been lost to the rest of the world. I believe the same kind of ritual was once performed in Elbaf. Elbaf is divided into 3 layers: Yokai, Meikai, Tenkai. And each of those layers use the kanji kai. Now, in some languages, this kanji might be translated as something like world, like in the word sekai. But its original meaning is more about dividing space. So it's more accurate to think of it as meaning realm or domain. And interestingly, that same kanji is used somewhere else in the series. Impel-Down's Makai, literally the demon realm. As many of you know, Impel-Down has ancient-looking inscriptions carved into the walls, and the high-ranking girls all dress like demons with horns and wings. If you take a close look, Salde's horn shape actually look a lot like Loki's. That got me thinking, maybe Impel-Down used to be home to actual demons, and through the abyss, they were once summoned into Elbaf. Honestly, considering how many monsters-like creatures are still roaming around Impel-Down today, it's not that crazy to imagine that Elbaf used to summon demons directly from there using the abyss. And here's the wild part: Impel-Down and Elbaf are located on opposite sides of the world. So if there really is a massive hollow or tunnel-like structure inside this blue planet, it's possible that summoning was happening through that. I actually talked about this hollow earth theory in One Piece World about 2 years ago on the channel called Dawn Dusk, and starting to think maybe Oda Sensei really did build something like that into the One Piece story. Alright, from here, I want to break down what Loki might really be thinking based on his actions so far. On this channel, I've been saying for a long time that Loki isn't evil at his core, and honestly, that theory is starting to look more and more true. At first glance, he might seem like a threat to Elbaf. But if you actually look closely at the things he said, you can tell he genuinely cares about his homeland, Elbaf. For example, in chapter 1142, he said, Elbafを救いたきゃ情を外せ. If you want to save Elbaf, unlock the chains now. Right after that, he summoned lightning using Ragnil and started a fire. So at first, it sounds like he's threatening Elbaf, like, free me, or I'll burn this place down. But there's another way to interpret this line. He might actually be saying, if you don't free me, Elbaf will be destroyed by the God's Knights. And that makes a lot of sense, because right now, Elbaf is in total chaos caused by the God's Knights. Loki once called himself Elbaf ichi no chikaramochi. I'm strongest, the perspective of physical. And honestly, he probably is one of the strongest warriors on the Elbaf. He didn't even seem to know that Luffy was one of the 4 emperors, Yonko, so when he realized Elbaf was in danger, he probably figured he needed to be free in order to protect it. That's why he said, Elbaf を救いたきゃ俺を解放しろ. If you want to save Elbaf, then set me free, I'll take down the God's Knights. Totally changes the vibe of that line, right? But Loki is not the type to show his feelings directly. In fact, he seems like kind of person who hides his kindness. We see this conversation with Mosako. Mosako noticed the kindness inside Loki, and when he or she pointed it out, Loki just exploded in anger. Why? Maybe because in his past, being kind led to something tragic. Maybe he learned the hard way that kindness can bring pain, and now he hides it behind all that rage. In chapter 1143, Loki tells Halfdan to stop forcing on personal drama and look at the bigger picture, the entire Elba forest. What he's really doing is hinting at the dangers kids are in. They are about to be taken away by the Gods Knights. And the Gods Knights came to Elbaf with clear goal, to bring the land, Elbaf, under the control of world government. At first, they tried to recruit Loki, but when that failed, they switched tactics and started this twist kidnapping game. If they managed to take the children, Elbaf could end up in the same situation as Kuma, who was forced to obey the world government because they had Bonnie as a hostage. That's probably why Oda-sensei made sure to add one key detail in this chapter. Ilver is great-granddaughter of Yor, one of the Elbaf's elder leaders. Right now, Elbaf has no active king. Loki, the prince, doesn't have the trust of villagers, so in that case, power falls to the elders, people like Yarrow. But if Ilver, Yarrow's descendants, end up in the hand of the world government, it's totally possible they'll use her as leverage to control Elbaf. And that would mean Elbaf is in serious danger. But Halfdan and the others hasn't realized it yet. That's why Loki set the forest on fire, not to destroy Elbaf, but to wake everyone up, to send a warning to the giant about how bad things really are. And honestly, fire itself might not even be a true threat to the giant of Elbaf. Remember what Frankie said before. The tree of Adam will stand strong no matter what. Even if the war breaks out and the entire island is destroyed, even if the towns are reduced to rubble, Adam will still be there. So maybe for Loki, setting that fire wasn't a threat, it was a signal. Sure, fire is a weakness, but there's no way few bolts of lightning from Loki are gonna burn down something as tough as the tree of Elbaf. It's not that fragile. People say a massive war is about to start in the world One Piece, and when that happens, you can bet Elbaf will get pulled into the chaos too. If they end up going against the world government, there's a real chance Elbaf could become a target, just like Lulusia Kingdom was. That means Imu might one of those ancient weapons we've seen hint of, and if that happens, this fire will be nothing in comparison. We could be looking at the complete destruction of Elbaf. There was also flashback showing Loki constantly picking fights with Halfdan when they were kids. Sure, some of it was probably just messing around or frustration at Halfdan being weak. But maybe, just maybe, there was more to it than that. Maybe Loki was playing the bad guy on purpose, to push Halfdan to become stronger. Okay, yeah, he was just a kid, so he probably wasn't thinking that deeply, but still, he might have already known that if you are not strong enough, you can't protect Elbaf from what's coming. Just current situation in Elbaf. So looking at everything so far, I think it's pretty clear. Loki actually wants to protect Elbaf. When his friend, Wolf, was about to killed by Gunko, Loki spoke about dying with honor as a warrior. That alone shows he values the traditional ideals of Elbaf deeply and wants to preserve them. When Luffy appeared before him, Loki called himself 俺は世界を終わらせる太陽の神, the sun god who will bring the end of the world. Then later, the wolf died. Loki said something intense. I'll destroy the world. He clearly has this obsession with the idea of ending the world. But what exactly does he mean, the world? I don't think he's literally talking about a little planet. He's talking about the current system, the world ruled by world government, the celestial dragon. A lot of the time, it refers to the system that the world government controls. And that's the world Loki wants to end. If that's the case, why Loki does keep saying things that makes people misunderstand him. I think it's because he has deep respect for history. Do you remember this line? Actually, I like it. 真意を心に口を閉ざせ。我らは歴史を紡ぐもの。Keep your true intention in your heart and stay silent. We are the ones who carry history forward. That was something the Shandian chief said to his warriors in Viper's flashback. It's a phrase that's being passed down through the Shandian's people, Shandian's warriors. And just like the Shandians, the people of Elbaf take great pride in being warriors. That's something they definitely have in common. Kalgala, Viper, and even Loki, they all have something in common. True warriors in their eyes are the ones who keep their feelings deep inside and fight with unwavering conviction. So maybe Loki knows the truth, but chooses not to speak it out loud. Even if Elbaf's giants misunderstand him, he is staying true to his path as a warrior, in his own way. Just like the Shandians treated their ancestors as their gods, Loki probably feels a deep pride in Elbaf's lineage too. That's why it's possible he had no choice but to kill Harold, because Harold tried to change those sacred traditions. And remember, it's already confirmed by Somers that Harold was secretly working with Shamrock. So when the proud and loyal Loki found out about it, he didn't hesitate. Not even when it was his own father. After that, we heard Loki went on rampage across the world. But if you think about it, maybe that was because he wanted to take down the world government. It seems like the world sees Luffy as a sum of wild monkey monster, but the truth is he is just someone who acts straight from the heart. He follows his beliefs without hesitation. The problem is he rarely explains himself and he tends to do things that seems totally bizarre. So people who don't know his personality misunderstand him all the time. And when you think about it, Loki is kind of the same. Yeah, he's clearly got a mischievous side and he loves provoke people like Hailudin. But deep down, you can tell he's acting based on his own beliefs too. Maybe once Hailudin finally understands what Loki really been trying to do all along, he'll be the one to tell the people of Elbaf the truth. And who knows, that might just be the moment Loki is finally recognized as the rightful king of Elbaf. The day he's called Elbaf the Lock Kingdom. Might be closer than we think. Is anyone still listening at this point? On this channel, LunaPienArt, I usually break down the latest chapters of One Piece in Japanese right as they officially drop. But on top of that, in my page, I also do live streams comparing the Japanese and English versions side by side, so definitely check it out if you are interested in. You are studying Japanese, I think you'll find it really helpful, and even if you are not, it's a great way to dive deeper into One Piece world. I also got plans to create more original content soon, so swing by my page if you are curious. Alright, see you in the next video.